Look at this, I can touch my frame again. Alright, so if you have been following along on this titanium weight weenie saga, you might remember me complaining about how hard this glass blast surface was to keep clean. It was basically a no-touch zone. So imagine all the fun I had riding in 38-degree hot weather, legs all sweaty, and you stand up and look behind and you just a gentle little innocent caress of your inner thigh to this area. And yeah, you can imagine what happened. A few hours into a ride, it could end up looking something like this. Even for a weirdo like me who really likes cleaning my bike, I got pretty fed up with this. Ideally, I want to be able to get to the first coffee stop without the bike looking like absolute trash. So yeah, I'm actually thinking of redoing the surface of this frame. Not quite yet, but maybe sometime next year. But before that, I thought I would take the recommendation of some of you guys from the last video and try out some kind of coating solution. And if that failed horribly, it wouldn't be the end of the world since, yeah, I plan on redoing the surface anyway. Now, I should definitely point out I'm definitely not an expert when it comes to these kinds of coatings. This is the first time I've done this, so I definitely wouldn't look at this as some kind of following along tutorial. Another reason I wouldn't really call it a tutorial is, yeah, the coating I used, is this called CR1. It's basically only available here in Japan from what I understand. This was recommended by Vlad from Equilibrium, and this is usually professionally applied to motorbikes, mainly using like air guns, whatever you call it, spray guns, you know what I mean? But this CR1 Personal is, yeah, you get some microfiber cloth so you can just apply it by yourself. And it looked easy enough for a dork like me to be able to pull that off. So that's what I went with. They seem to call this some kind of glass coating. I don't know if that is like similar to ceramic coating or whatnot, but as you can see, I don't really know what I'm talking about when it comes to this stuff. Now, before we get into the coating, this frame needs to be clean. And after 9 months of living with this, I think I've learned a few things that I thought I could share in the same video. And that is, simple is best. 90% of the time, soapy water or dishwashing detergent in hot water, it's basically the only thing I needed to really get this surface clean enough from fingerprints and sweat and stuff like that. The brushed titanium, as you see in the rear of the bike here, that's nothing really to think about at all. Just even cold water and soap would take care of that, no problem. It's always this glass blasted surface that had given me the most amount of headache. So I used this repulsive looking sponge with all the microfiber fingers. I think that's a family friendly description, I guess. It does work though. And it doesn't seem to leave much in terms of micro scratches and stuff like that. Just some soap in hot water, like I said, a few times, not rubbing too hard, a little rinse with a garden hose, and maybe repeat this time or two depending on how I feel, if I need any more therapy or not. But if there's some really stubborn spots left, I have to use some stronger stuff. And I tried a few different things, including bike-specific cleaners like the Muck-Off bike cleaner, even though I know it's kind of a joke. In the end though, this simple green crystal cleaner works just as good, and it's much cheaper than the bike-specific cleaners. If that's still not enough, my last go-to is to whip out the actual hardcore degreaser. In my case, the Morgan Blue chain degreaser. I let it soak a few minutes before another rinse. This usually gets the last bits off, but it can kind of leave a residue. So after that, I usually finish it off with another round of soap and water. I also tried alcohol, and I gone as far as trying acetone once I had the frame stripped down like this. But even that couldn't get this mark left by the head badge totally clean. So yeah, this surface is a bitch. When it comes to drying the frame, I found that letting the glass blasted part just air dry gives me the best result. I have this mini air blower that helps speed things up a bit. Every time I use the towel or something, it always seems to leave streaks, so air drying has become my go-to there. But I will say, post-coating, these have kind of changed, so more on that later. For the brush finish, which is much easier to live with overall, I should mention this well-known trick of using Scotch Brite, whatever you call it, these pads. Super simple and easy to turn that brushed finish back to basically brand spanking new. Very satisfying, but obviously not something you would use on that glass blast finish. Now, as far as the coating, like I said, don't look at this as a tutorial, especially since it's my first time trying it out and probably not the product you can get your hands on anyway. So look at this as more of a very loose reference if you are thinking about doing something similar. The coating kit came with gloves and 2 microfiber towels. I used one to apply the coating onto the towel, then tried to distribute that over the frame. I started out pretty sparingly, but I ended up pouring more and more onto the towel. I was pretty nervous about missing spots, but it was very visible where it was being applied. So in that sense, it was easier than expected. Then I let it dry for a few minutes. I used the other dry microfiber towel to wipe off the surface before applying another layer with original towel again. Looking at the clips here, I think I poured more and more coating with each layer I did. And I think I ended up doing about 3 layers, maybe 4, I don't quite remember. Can't really make out in these video clips, but 3 or 4 layers. I did a final wind down and then let it sit overnight. The next day I did the first barehanded easy sensual caress of the frame, and it didn't leave any fingerprints, so hallelujah, I was very happy with that. I will say the anodized part looks a bit more spotty. I don't know if this is from the coating or just me doing a shit job at the prep or whatever, which is probably the likeliest reason for that. But yeah, even after these 9 months, I will say the mirror-like finish that was in the beginning was degraded even before I did this whole thing. So yeah, I don't know actually what kind of caused that, but it's probably up to my own incompetence. I took the frame outside and did a little water test, and it didn't do that magical water repellent thing that you see in so many videos online. But I could like grab a wet frame and it didn't smudge all my finger grease all over the frame or anything. That didn't really leave any marks. So yeah, I think it works. So unlike before the coating, when I air dried the frame, this time when I used my little blower gun, it kind of left spots and marks, and yeah, I don't know. Well, you see it here, I guess. So once I used an actual towel to wipe it off, that was a much nicer result. So from here on out, I will probably use a towel instead of just letting it air dry. I really do wish I had done this before I built this bike up the first time, like doing the coating one while everything is in the pristine mint condition would have been ideal. So unlike the gloss paint on my other bikes, which I can keep looking like new for years, this surface, or this glass blasted surface, has definitely taken a bit of a beating during these 9 months with me constant trying to keep it clean. And the coating has obviously not restored that original sheen. So that's why I really wished I had done this, yeah, the first thing before doing anything else on this frame. Now, as you can see, this frame is still naked. I'm waiting for some new things before I build it up again, which will probably be revealed in the next video, hopefully. So obviously I can't comment on the durability of this coating. If you're interested in following along and see how this holds up, I recommend you follow me on Strava. I usually post there and document if something strange happens along the way in my day-to-day riding. So yeah, for now though, I can touch my frame again without a small part of my soul dying every time, and that's all I really wanted. So yeah, good times.